Hey, folks, good evening. Hi, I'm Anthony Cocciolo, Dean of the School of Information. Thank you for schlepping out in the super cold weather. I think it's about 4 or 5 degrees outside right now, so thank you for taking the time. Just a little bit about this information session. We're going to go ahead and give you an overview of the School of Information. We'll give you an overview of our programs. We'll take questions from the room. We'll go ahead and do a brief tour of the facility. And if you have more questions, I'm happy to stick around as long as people have questions. So let's go ahead and get started. So just a little bit about the School of Information. We are the oldest information school in North America. We trace our roots back to 1890 when the founder of Pratt Institute, Charles Pratt, you see up there, created a series of libraries available to the public here in Brooklyn. And he did a way to train people to work in those libraries, and hence the Pratt Institute Library School was born back in 1890. And we've been really operating ever since. You can see a photo there from the class in the 1890s. We spent most of our life on the Brooklyn campus, first starting off in the basement of the main building, moving into the library when that opened in 1896. We had our own building for a good 25 years, and then eventually relocated here to Pratt Manhattan Center in 2002. Just a little bit about us today. We're very much motivated by our vision and mission. You can see our vision statement here. This is kind of how we see our role in the future. We also are motivated by our mission statement, which looks to connect information and technology with art, culture, and design. And that's one of the things that kind of makes us unique among the various information schools is that we're kind of more of the kind of art and design and technology information school. We're less of like the big science kind of information school. So that's just a little bit about us. In terms of who we are, we're an all-graduate school. We're about 400 graduate students spread across 4 master's programs. And then maybe about 60 or 70 faculty, about 15 full-time faculty. These people are primarily researchers, scholars, they have doctoral degrees, and they also act as advisors to all of our students. And then we have about 50 part-time faculty, and these are folks who are out there, in many cases, they're archivists, librarians, UX designers, out working in the city during the day, and they'll primarily come and teach with us at night. So that's pretty much who we are. It's a really great group of people. Just a little bit about us before I get into any specifics about any particular program. We are pretty much at this point, really back to being a face-to-face program. We never had done an online class until COVID. And now we're 99% back face-to-face. I think this spring we don't have a single online class. So if you're interested in an online program, this is obviously not the program for you. And that's really because we do value excellence in face-to-face teaching. We value face-to-face community. So we're, really, being in New York and studying in New York and working in New York all kind of together as one thing is appealing to you, then this is a good school for you. But if it's, if you want to be online, this would not be a good school. In terms of when we offer classes, we pretty much offer classes throughout the day, really starting at 11:30 in the morning. But our busiest time is really at 6:30 at night. And so this is really for folks who might be going to school part-time and have maybe a full-time job, or even folks who just have a very busy day. You could take classes at night. So it does definitely open, even if you're not working full-time, does open opportunities for interning and so forth. And I would say that, so we're pretty much going throughout. So I think a lot of you here, if you're interested in the library and information science program, could you raise your hand? Most of you, yes. So we're definitely seeing folks are interested in our library and information science program these days, which we're always happy to see. It is indeed our Bloom's program. It really traces its roots back to 1890, where we started offering courses in book cataloging. And it is, we are the oldest LIS school in North America. So we're not the first. The first was at Columbia, but Columbia closed, so we're now the ones. We are one of 6 programs that were first accredited by the American Library Association back in 1924. So we've been accredited by the American Library Association that entire time, so for over 100 years. So we're super happy about that. We've never not been accredited by the American Library Association. And this program, as you can imagine, is really about training folks to be librarians, archivists, other information professionals who are really out there collecting, managing, and making accessible information to a community of people. This program is typically completed in 2 years. It's a 36 credit program. There's a core curriculum that everyone has to take, no matter what your specialization is. So in that, typically this will include a course on reference and instruction. This is really about working with users, working with people. Really, our job is all about working and helping satisfy people's information needs. We do a class on knowledge organization. This is how you organize information, which a lot of people expect us to know. As librarians, you have to know how to organize information. And then, of course, on information technology, and then kind of a big ideas class, which we call Foundations of Information. Then from there, there's a large number of electives you can take. And since there's quite a bit of flexibility there with those 8 electives, we do offer both advanced certificates and program concentrations to help you kind of plan out what you want to do. Advanced certificates, these are formal programs. They're kind of like a minor, and they dictate specific courses you have to take. And they all live within the 36 credit master's degree. So when you graduate, you get both the master's degree and the certificate. And I'd say, so our advanced certificates are probably our most popular ones are the archives, and the other ones are pretty popular too. We have a great one in children and young adult library services. But then we also have these program concentrations. These are like informal. They just can help you. They surface courses you might be interested in taking, job titles you might be interested in being competitive for. And so that you can see those there, but those don't have, they're kind of more, you kind of choose your own adventure kind of thing. You can do a program concentration. We do also offer a 3-year dual degree program with the Department of History of Art and Design, which is primarily based on the Brooklyn campus. And that, as I mentioned, is typically completed in 3 years. But this is really for folks who want to become like art librarians, really super, competitive in the kind of art and information space. Typically, at like large research universities, for example, they might require a second master's degree. For example, like NYU, if you're up for a tenure track librarian role at NYU, you do have to have a second master's degree. In terms of what people become once they've done this program, this is just a small smattering of job titles. We have a complete list on our website. But kind of job titles that you can easily read, librarian, archivist, titles that make a lot of sense. In terms of where people work, it's a lot of museums, colleges, public libraries, publishing, some artist studios, some companies, some nonprofits. Both here in the New York area, but then also some folks, a lot of folks, I would say, stay in New York at least for a few years, but then, once after a few years, people kind of either stay in New York or kind of spread out all over the place. In terms of the program, people are generally really satisfied with it. So when our graduates from this past May, we had 57 respondents, 57 graduates, and they all, 94% believe the program was a quality program. So we're happy to see that. So that is the really quick rundown of the LIS program. We're happy to take questions in a little bit. Do you have any folks here interested in our data analytics and visualization program? We got one, yes. All right, thank you. So I'll tell you, I'll give you a quick rundown and then I'll go ahead and open it up for questions after I get through our other 2 programs. So our data analytics program, this is one of our newer programs that started in 2016. And what the library and information science program is all about managing and helping people with their information needs. I'd say the data analytics program is really about using data and using information to tell stories, to visualize information, and to create compelling data products. It's designed for people with any kind of background. You don't need to have a computer background, data background, anything like that, a statistics background. And it is a program that really takes in multidisciplinary perspective, statistics, computer programming, design, usability research. So it kind of brings together a lot of different components. This program, also like the library science program, is typically completed in 2 years with a core curriculum. Folks will do that big ideas class, followed by a course in statistics, a course in information visualization, a course in computer programming with Python. And then there's a wide range of electives you can take. we ask folks to take at least one additional class in data analysis, one in data visualization, and one in data UX. And then there's a bunch of 15 credits of open electives. These could be info courses or really any other graduate program at Pratt. So there's definitely a lot of flexibility with this program. But lots of great stuff goes on in this program. I'd say one strength I would say is in the mapping area, GIS and mapping and spatial statistics, that sort of thing. So if you're interested in a mapping component, I would say that's a pretty strong piece we have going. Also, if you're interested in GIS at all, even if you're in one of our other programs, like it's a nice concentration we have here. So we have a certificate you can do within the master's degree in spatial analysis and design. You can also do one in user experience or digital humanities. And this is a small program, so this past May we had 12 graduates. But as you can see here, all of them were really happy with the program in terms of the quality, finding the curriculum to be up to date, and really wanting to recommend the program to a friend, family member, or colleague. So we're always really super happy to see that. In terms of where people work, this is a small smattering of job titles, and then also a list of organizations where people work. I would say, in this program, I would say it tends to be a bit of a mix between kind of the public sector and the kind of commercial sector. So public sector, like the Intrepid Museum, and private sector, more like Google or Slate Magazine. All right, so that's a quick rundown of our data analytics program. Is anyone here interested in our information experience design program? Anyone online? I bet we have some folks online interested in the IXD program. I will go ahead and give the quickest of rundowns for the information experience design program. Typically, we have some folks online who are interested in it. I would say this is our kind of our what we call our UX program. It's a UX design and UX research program. Again, anyone from any background can take this. You don't need a computer background. You don't need a design background. And this is really for people who want to really get into UX design and UX research. So really the folks who want to become experts on designing interfaces. And interface is anything that separates the person from the computer, whether that's a graphic interface, a verbal interface, chat interface, anything like that. This program is typically, like the other ones, completed in 2 years and 36 credits. There's a core curriculum. Folks get into information architecture, usability, infotech. We do have an ethics and social responsibility elective that folks need to take. Since we've tended to find that's an important component, especially these days with our involvement in the tech industry. And then from there, there's a wide range of elective courses people can take. This is a kind of the list of elective courses. We're always creating new elective courses. Everything from like we have some courses here that are so new that aren't even listed. For example, we just started a course called Auto UX, where it's really about user interface, developing user interfaces that end up in cars. Right. So if you want to develop something for like the like Apple CarPlay, right? Thinking about the driving and how the user interface works within the car. We have a driving simulator we created kind of if you're bored, you're driving around. So the people in this program, I would say there's 2 areas of focus. You can either focus in on design or research and evaluation. While usually both of these in this program, we tend to find that some folks are better at design and some folks are better at research. And so we certainly suggest people choose a path based on that. Students in this program do quite a bit of interning, especially in their first summer and second year. A lot of commercial entities, from corporations to a lot of startups. There are some of the job titles people get when they graduate. You can see here, as well as some of the employers. So much more, folks in this program are generally much more in the commercial sector. I would say big tech, finance, tech. And also, this is one of our bigger programs. We had 67 graduates this past May, and in general, they're all pretty happy with it in terms of the quality of the program and finding the curriculum to be up to date. So we're always happy to see that. So you're talking almost just about everything. And this program definitely does a lot of client-based projects. So if you're interested in client projects, you can check out some of those client projects at prattdx.org. You know, if you like, we do a lot of client projects in general in the school, I'd say. So that's like bringing in an institution or a company and like doing a project with them, whether that's in the library science program or any of the other programs. The fourth and final program I wanted to talk about was the Museums and Digital Culture program. Is anyone here interested in that program? Yay! Oh, you have a friend online, Rachel. So this is our kind of our museum studies program. It's our master's level museum studies program at Pratt. And it's kind of what it looks to do is kind of bring information science, information technology to the world of museums, and really kind of focuses in on that. So it's kind of a unique and special museum studies program. Most museum studies programs kind of live in art history programs, and this one is really a bit more focused on less on curatorial studies and more on kind of a lot of the other things that go on in the museum. So everything from collection information to visitor experience to education programs even. The program is typically completed in 2 years with a core curriculum. Folks in this program will do a class on museum and digital strategy. They'll do a course on museum information management, so getting into cataloging cultural objects. And then there's a wide range of electives folks will take. So getting into more technology, getting more into audience experience, getting more into museum information management. For example, this course here, Info 693, audience research. Students in that class will do a study of visitors at a museum, like at a museum. So for example, this spring, we're doing it at the Metropolitan Museum, and the director of visitor experience at the Met is running the class is meeting there, and they're going to be doing a study at the Met. So super, super convenient. I was just talking to the instructor though, she was like, they can't be late because, you know, they're like in the back, you know, they're in like the staff area of the museum, so yeah, it's like, yeah, show up on time. Anyways, but fun stuff. You know, definitely great stuff. Also, this program does have you can also do some courses in this program outside of the School of Information. Like if you want to do some more stuff in art history, such as in kind of more curatorial studies or museum education, if that's of interest, we have some classes in that area as well. All these courses are offered on the Brooklyn campus. We even have a course for fine artists that you can take. So yeah, so lots of, if you want to, you know, bump shoulders with fine artists, you can definitely do that. So yeah, that's museums. There are some certificates you can take. These are like minors that live within the program. Conservation digital curation, museum studies certificate, which is a bit more of a focus on art history, user experience, and digital humanities. And we do, I would say in the school in general, we do a lot of programs with, do lots of projects with museums. So, you know, you'll definitely find that there's always like a museum project going on. We have a pretty great student club around museums where they'll go and organize events. And so, yeah, lots of, you know, there's definitely no shortage of museum stuff here at the School of Information. In terms of graduates, this is kind of a list of the recent graduates. So a lot of folks going into assistant registrar, cataloging, information specialist, database, some communications work going on. So yeah, mostly in museums. You know, someone went to Morgan Stanley because I'm sure it paid a lot better, but yeah, you know, mostly in museums. So this past May we had 6 graduates, and it's a small program. And in general, they're also happy with the program in terms of the program faculty and inclusive and welcoming. So we're super happy about that. We do also have these advanced certificates that you can do as a standalone. These are certificates that you would do not within your degree, but like you would just come here to do an advanced certificate. Most of these do require having a master's degree already. Is anyone here interested in one of these certificates? Yes.
That's actually, I was interested in this, not the other one.
Which one were you?
The spatial analysis.
Anyone else, any others, anyone here want to just do a certificate? All right, well, I will tell you about the spatial. Oh, wait, Madeline has a hand. Madeline, you want to put in the chat which one you want to hear about? while Madeline's doing that, I will tell you a bit about spatial certificate. I don't have any nifty slides for that. So I will show you our very nice webpage that I keep up to date no matter what. Yeah, so that's an important thing on this is under here in the graduate catalog. But yeah, I would say our spatial analysis certificate, it is a program that is, it's kind of a program we share with also between the School of Information and the Graduate Center for Planning and the Environment in the School of Architecture based on the Brooklyn campus. So in this program, you can do basic courses in the School of Information, and you can do classes in what's called the planning department. So you do a course in spatial thinking and GIS. This is kind of an intro GIS course. You use ArcGIS. It's offered here. It's all kind of Windows-based kinds of stuff. You also have to take in a class in advanced GIS. And then you have a bunch of electives you can take. You can do stuff in spatial statistics, data analysis. We have some courses in the planning program, the architecture program that you can do as well. Even some social science courses. So yeah, it's definitely, we have some great professors in the GIS professors. I'd say the one person I would check out is John Latterman. He was actually here earlier today. But he does lots of great GIS and mapping projects. His PhD is actually in geography. But I'll always putting together great stuff. You can see he's teaching a lot of that stuff this spring. But yeah, but you can check out his stuff. He does there's a lot of stuff with housing, which is really popular topic here in New York City, right? Gentrification of housing and stuff. He does stuff with Olympics, like research around Olympics and cities and development of Olympic like urban development kind of stuff. So yeah, so definitely interesting stuff. You can check his stuff out there. So Madeline is interested in the UX program. So I would say, yeah, so I'm sorry, the UX certificate. So yeah, I would say the UX certificate is another certificate we do. And so it's primarily for folks who already have a master's degree. And it just helps you, I would say it gives you some core UX knowledge. So you take a course, our information architecture class or usability course. Then we have a large range of electives you can take. This is a 12 credit certificate, typically completed in a year part-time. And yeah, and I would say, this is a small certificate though. So if you really want to become you really want to pivot your career from say art history to UX design or UX research, I would say probably your best bet though is going to really be doing the Master of Science Information Experience Design. That 2-year program is really for those careers in UX design. You really kind of need like a really pretty sophisticated portfolio at this point. So this program I would say is going to be really good for folks who are like, okay, I'm already a librarian. I want to maybe do a little bit more work in the area of UX librarianship. I want to help my library have better user interfaces. I want to study great our user interfaces. I want to help inform the improvement of interfaces. So that's going to be really useful. But if you're say trying to pivot your career to being hey, I want to be a a usability researcher, I want to be a UX designer, I would say do the master's degree. That's going to get you kind of what you need. If that makes sense. All right. So Madeline says, I'd like to combine art historical work with digital interfaces and work in archives or databases. Which path would you recommend? Not a lot of experience, but honestly, I would say if you want to work with, the really great place to get art history and kind of work with databases and digital interfaces, really is the library information science program. I mean, it really brings that together. And, I would definitely take a look at the library and information science program, quite honestly. Also in the library and information science program, you can do all kinds of, you can take any of the UX classes. So we do have folks who come out of this program, they're like, yeah, I'm going to be kind of more of a UX librarian. That's fine. You definitely do that. Cool. All right. So just a little bit also about scholarships. So definitely, you are automatically considered for a scholarship when you apply. So and they can cover up to 50% of the cost of tuition, so they're pretty significant. But one of the things about them is they auto renew for your second year of studies. So if you get a scholarship, say you get like the $10,000 scholarship in year one, you automatically get it in year two, so long as you like get like 3.0 GPA. And yeah, so definitely we have scholarships. We do also, and I will say, international students are considered for scholarships, like everyone is considered for scholarships. We also do have a fellowship program, and these are kind of unique to the School of Information. They're kind of like paid internship programs where at the end of your first year, you can apply for a fellowship. And if you get it, you get to do this fellowship for your full second year, both the fall and the spring. And what it is you work one day on a project that we kind of set out with a New York City institution, then you get paid through Pratt via scholarship. So this year, this current academic year, these are the sites we have, and some of them have multiple fellows. But there's just a lot of really cool stuff, and you can definitely also find more details on these on our website. So if you go under experiential learning and fellowships. We have there's here's all the people doing them right now, but then we have there's information, like the application form actually has a lot of information on them. And you can kind of read more about what's going on in those fellowships, but really cool stuff, I would say. So, a lot of archives fellowships, but then we also have ones with working with the data, like the collection of information data for the Met Museum, a bunch of projects with the Museum of Modern Art. Either the MoMA Library, linked to the MoMA Archives, MoMA Product Design. So those are working with websites, books, and products that the museum puts out. So the Whitney Museum, this is a new one that we introduced this year. This is doing digital asset and preservation work at the Whitney. So really super cool stuff that we're super happy to have. So yeah, definitely check that out. This one unfortunately is going away because the Hauser work did too. So it's closed. Anyways. So yeah, definitely super cool thing that we have going on are the fellowships. We're about to launch them for next year. And it's going to be a lot of the same fellowships we're anticipating. We also do offer things like federal financial aid, FAFSA, and you can certainly, we have a financial aid counselor who's based here. Her name's Sonia Chestnut. Her office is up on the second floor. You can always call or email her as well. Google Sonia Chestnut, you can find her contact info. So yeah, I would say, all these classes are here at the School of Information are offered here at Pratt Manhattan Center. So if it's an info course, it's offered here. But when you do pretty much as a School of Information student, you do have the full access to the Brooklyn campus. And the only event we really run there is we do run student orientation there. But other than that, we do everything here on the Manhattan campus. But it's more of a kind of a traditional college environment with a library and a gym and we have a small library here, but it's a freestanding library, buildings and pathways and all that kind of stuff. So you can kind of get the best of both worlds. I would say, you can kind of feel like a college, but then you also kind of are here in Manhattan. But yeah, most of the other courses outside of info, though, if you do take something that's in another department, most of those are going to be on the Brooklyn campus. So you don't ever have to go to the Brooklyn campus if you don't want to really. But if you do take something in industrial design or art history, you will have to probably go to the Brooklyn campus. And yeah, so application deadlines, all of our applications are still open for the fall 2026 semester. So those classes begin on August 24th, 2026. The priority deadline was a couple weeks ago, about 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago on January 5th. And so pretty much the way the priority deadline works is that is definitely the kind of where you get the most consideration for scholarships. But I would say you still have really good consideration for scholarships in January and February. But then once you start to get past that, your chance of scholarship starts to kind of go down, I would say. So definitely if you're interested in starting in the fall, I would definitely, the sooner the better is best to apply sooner rather than later. And so it's pretty straightforward to apply. It's pratt.edu/apply. You do need 2 letters of reference, a statement of intent, unofficial transcripts from all colleges you attended. So really what that means is, you can like PDF your transcripts from your college. And you don't need official transcripts, but if you are admitted and decide to enroll, we do have to have official transcripts, but at the application stage, we don't have to worry about that. And we've never required the GRE, so do not worry about the GRE. We've been a graduate school since 1950 and we've never required the GREs. So that is the kind of the quick rundown on our 4 master's programs. So I'm happy to take any questions that you might have about any program, anything about school information, anything about Pratt. Anything else? Yeah.
2 questions. First, about scholarships, if you were not to receive the scholarship for the first year, could you apply for the second year, or is that?
So unfortunately, no.
Okay.
You can apply for a fellowship, right? So
Okay,
in your end of your first year, but yeah, in terms of, with the scholarship, it's really a 2-year package that
I
you
see.
get at the time of admission.
okay,
And it doesn't get reconsidered. The only way to have it reconsidered is like you could like withdraw your application and reapply. Like if you want to give it a second chance, but
Okay.
yeah, that's kind of how it goes.
okay. And my second question is specifically for library sciences. Would you say there's room, like, if you're interested in a few different paths, room to explore that, or is it like, I'm kind of set on archives or I'm set on youth librarianship?
You definitely, some people are set and other people are not, and that's completely fine. We do suggest that, really like, we're talking end of your first year, that your first summer, you really want to have like narrowed in, really,
Okay.
because then you can really use your whole second year to specialize. You really don't want to be going into your second year being like, well, I don't know,
Right.
but yeah, I mean, it happens. People come and they think, hey, I'm gonna do this one thing, and then they like, oh, they're like, wow, this is amazing. I want to do this instead. And they pivot, and that's totally fine, totally normal. But yeah, you don't want to, but yeah, once, that after that first year, though, you don't really want to do too much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So I have an art history background, a bachelor's, so I do know about the dual degree and I find that potentially interesting. So I was wondering if, is that something that you need to apply to in advance and know you have to do, or is that something that you could add on later? And also, if I wasn't going to do that, if I was just going to do, library science, would I be able to take art history electives?
So if you were just in the library science program, you can take one course outside of the school of information. So you could do one elective. And we have people doing that. I just saw someone taking something, film and psychoanalysis and the humanities and media studies. You can do that.
One per year or one?
Just one. But I would say if you, but it does require an application. So I would say, you could say be in the library science program, and what you would do is that you would basically you would ask the admissions office to take your application and resubmit it for the dual degree. And then the dual degree only does admission once a year. So like say you could do like your first year in the library science program and then apply your second year to do the dual degree, and that's fine. But yeah, but it does require an admission kind of thing,
Got it. But it doesn't have to be online.
Does not have to.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And there's no room is the dual degree program would not apply to any other master's degree, I would imagine.
Unfortunately not, yeah, so we, yeah. It's pretty much what the state like to do it, you have to like set it up and like do the whole thing, and I don't like. Yeah, some schools have figured out how to do it where you can like just like mix and match, but we just don't.
Is it possible to start the program in the spring semester, or you have to start in the fall?
Yeah, they all of our programs, do spring admission as well, and so, those applications are, due October 1st. And classes begin, this year, for example, they begin January 26th. So, that's next Monday. Yeah, so, we do spring admissions, and it's usually a smaller cohort, so I think we we have, we have about 40 people starting in the spring, where in the fall, we have more like 150 starting, so it's, it's a smaller group, but yeah, it's definitely, if you're interested in the spring, it's definitely.
So the advanced certificates, are there internship opportunities or kind of more involved professor guidance, or is it mostly just taking classes?
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely do internships while you're in the program. I mean, I'd say that the upside of the spatial analysis certificate is you typically do it over the year, over 1 year. You're taking usually 2 courses in the fall, 2 in the spring. And so you can certainly, you can intern during that whole time, right? You can have a lot of opportunities to work with professors on research. So we have a lot of graduate assistant opportunities. And, yeah, you can, do all kinds of stuff with that. So, but yeah, it's a short program. It's a year, part-time. So, you kind of have to, you gotta make the most of it, I would say. But there's definitely opportunities. Other question?
Mentioned that classes are Monday through Thursday. Would there be like classes, like one class 2 days a week, another class 2 days a week? Is that kind of the?
That's a good question. So there are 2 hours and 15 minutes once a week.
Okay, so it's the whole time. It's not like half the time and then another class. Okay.
Yeah, so I would say, and then I should say, also we are starting to do some stuff on Friday as well, so if that's of interest. But yeah, I would say like a very typical schedule for someone might be, so like a lot of our students will take 3 classes. And for them, it might look like, okay, like, I'm gonna do Wednesday 3 to 9:20, and then I'll do Thursday 6:30 to 9:20, or they can do 3 days a week. Some people might try to get it all done in 1 day. Then we have a good number of people who are just part-time, right? So they'll take 2 classes, and they'll be here maybe 1 or 2 days a week. And we really, we know, if you want to come here part-time, like we're more than happy to have you. So, people have complicated lives, and that's fine. But I would say also, 3 classes, a semester, it does leave time to intern, do part-time work, like it's not, you're in the classroom 9 hours a week, you have to work outside of the classroom, in terms of, projects, reading, all that kind of stuff, but, it does definitely leave time for like having, part-time, Another question. Does anyone on Zoom have any questions? We have about 19 people on Zoom. If you have a question, you can go ahead and put it in the chat, and I always get good questions from Zoom, and I will. So Jacqueline asked, I'm interested in library information science. Will you be reviewing the program? Yes. Han asks, if you get into the Masters of LIS, can you add a second combined degree in art history later? Sounds like your question. Yes, you can. You can definitely add it. Our students in the MS-LIS program secured internships. So I would say internships, that's a good question. So here at Pratt, we have what's called the Center for Career and Professional Development, which is a group that does resume, cover letter, workshops, all kinds of stuff around managing a job, Handshake, which is like a tool. But then we also have like a very active, like the serve, I would say, especially for LIS, where people are sending us internships and jobs like all the time, alums, people all over the country sending us jobs and internships. I'll give you a sense of what it looks like. Just all kinds of stuff. So we use like a Google group, for example, and like for library and information science, there's just like kind of there's stuff coming all the time, right? Fellowships, part-time jobs, internships, just like paid internships, just like events, it's just, that's a great thing about the field is there's just a lot going on. So lots of events, jobs, internships, a lot of the times, people are sending us these jobs because they've hired from us before. So, Yeah, so lots of good stuff. People are sending me stuff all the time. I mean, scholarships. Internships, the Rockefeller Foundation, like that, like this is a mom who, Genevieve, I forget her last name, but she was in my class like 15 years ago, right? Now she's in charge of knowledge management at the Rockefeller Foundation, so like they're hiring an intern, right? $30 to $35 an hour, great, yeah. That sounds good, I like that, that's real nice. So anyways, yeah, so I would say, yeah, there's definitely, that's how I would say a lot of the internships, jobs and so forth, is like the listservs are like super valuable. They come from people we know and they get out to people. So yeah, other questions, we have chat questions I was going through, which I totally forgot about. So I'm interested in seeing an MSLIS class. How could I go about arranging that? Yes, so Marina, and if anyone else, if you're interested in seeing them in class, just shoot me an email and we can help arrange that. So you can just Google me, Anthony Cocciolo. This is my email, and we can arrange it. It's also helpful in the email to let us know kind of like what kind of stuff you're interested in, like if you're interested in the library science program, and you want to see something that's kind of archivesy, or if you're interested in the UX program, or and if there's any like days or times you would want to do it, like you only want to do it at night, or you only want to do it on, that kind of thing, that will help us find something. But yeah, definitely we can do that. All of our classes are in person, so it's easy. Hopeful asks, do students from different disciplines usually collaborate on fellowships, consultancy project? How is that like? So I would say there's a little bit of collaboration going on in the fellowships, I would say sometimes. So some of the fellows have there's multiple fellows. And students will sometimes they'll present their fellowship projects at our annual showcase together. They might work together a little bit in the actual fellowship. I would say in the IXD program, there's like, for example, we're starting the 4th year of this project called the Amazon Music Product Design Challenge, where students come together outside of class and design a product for Amazon Music, new products and services. And they get a scholarship if they win. And this year, the scholarship is going to be bigger, and it's been in the past. And it is, so it's kind of like working on a team and developing something. So it is kind of, it's not quite a consultancy. But yeah, so definitely lots of opportunities. There is a lot of, I know this may be not everyone's favorite thing in the world, but we do have quite a bit of group work there. And I would say, the reason is that, I like to say like life is one big group project. And, the more you do it, the better you get at it. And I think, often, many times our students do very well out in the world, but we do a lot of presenting, we do a lot of group work. And it really helps set people up for, I would say, doing really well professionally. They're able to work in teams, which is honestly what a lot of employers really want. So yeah, it's, so there's a lot of collaboration opportunities. It's, and it's like, everyone thinks like, of course I know how to work in a group, but honestly, like the more you do it, the better you get at it. Jacqueline asks, will you be sending out an overview outline of this discussion to all attendees? I can send you the slides if you're interested. Definitely if you're interested in that. You can shoot me an email if you want a copy of the slides. I can certainly do that. And I also do have this recorded, so if you want this recording, I can also give you that as well, but just shoot me an email, Jacqueline. Isabel asked, I was wondering if out-of-state students usually live within New York City or some travel from other areas for class. My doubt is more as it's expensive and would love to know, how do students work with that topic? So that is a good question. I would say people live all over the greater New York City area. They live wherever they can. No, people live in Brooklyn, people live in Queens, a lot of people live in Jersey City. So we're super conveniently located, we're on 14th Street and 7th Avenue, between 6th and 7th Avenue. So you can get to Jersey City really quickly on the PATH train. It's like 20 minutes. You can get to Brooklyn, you get to Queens, the L train, it's just, it's, so, and then also even like if you live in Westchester County. We're even further out in New Jersey, from New Jersey Transit, like, you can definitely even take those commuter lines as well. We definitely have students who are like, okay, I gotta get my, my train. At Grand Central, I'm on the, 9:32 back to White Plains or whatever, like, that's fine, like, that don't, so you can really kind of live wherever, I mean, it's a huge region, we're super well connected in terms of like transit. So yeah, I would say, people generally live in the greater New York City area. We do, I mean, we have a few people who even come in from Philadelphia, I don't recommend that, but, we do, I had a student last semester, she lived in Philadelphia, she came to class. We have a faculty member who also lives in Philadelphia. So, it's a 90-minute commute, so it's not cheap, but, yeah, you can certainly do that. So Cobalt asks, what are the factors that determine the scholarship and fellowship offer criteria? And what is usually the average median offer for IXD? So I would say, so the scholarships go up to 50%, although I would say the average is probably about 30% of the cost of tuition. So, and I would say most people get a scholarship. So I would say 75% of students get a scholarship. It's more unusual. That people don't get a scholarship. In terms of the fellowship, I would say the fellowship is gonna be, it's gonna be determined by the sites. So like the Metropolitan Museum, the staff there, they're gonna really interview you and determine if they want you. They're gonna be, of course, looking at what they're looking for in terms of the fellowship criteria. You have the knowledge and skills they're looking for, are you gonna work well with their team? And so that's really for the fellowships, it's really gonna be determined by the sites. And but in terms of the scholarships, what's gonna matter, I would say, is going to be things like your statement of intent. Like, you're gonna wanna put a lot of attention on that in terms of, why do you want, like, what do you wanna do with this degree in this profession? Like, what are your ideas that you wanna bring to this? You're gonna wanna, your undergraduate GPA, for example, that's gonna matter. I would say, if you have a low undergraduate GPA, definitely explain it in your statement of intent. I would say if it's below a 3.0, that can be a challenge. So definitely, explain what, help convince us that, you'll be able to do well in graduate school. But yeah, those are gonna, really the statement of intent, your undergraduate experience, those are gonna be really important, I would say, for those 2-year scholarships at the time of admissions. So we have a question from Rosie about the museum studies program. Do you have to do a thesis work or capstone at the end? So all of these programs, which I totally glossed over, they all require a portfolio that you have to complete. And what the portfolio is it's typically about 3 to 5 projects that show you've met all of the learning outcomes for the program. And so it is required of all students. And yeah, so all the programs. And we have workshops and we help you, get ready for the. So let's see, I think I have one more chat question. You mentioned student surveys, and I was wondering if any students mentioned what their biggest challenges were in the program, or what they wish they had known before they started, specifically the MSLIS program. That's a good question. So we do have lots of survey data. We do an annual survey. And what do they wish they know? I don't know. I can't, I could, if you email me, I could stick an AI on this. We don't have a question we don't ask that question, but it could be spread throughout comments. I could give a survey. I might be able to find something, but yeah, nothing that I can think of off the top of my head, but we could crunch the data. If you shoot me an email, we could find some of that for you. But we have some open-ended comments and we could find something like that. Cool. I think that's, do we have any other questions though, either on Zoom or in person, anything? Yes.
I'm wondering if you can share any information about the decision timeline. I think it's rolling admission, but do you know about how long that takes?
Yes, your point. Yes. What are we trying to get? We're definitely trying to get those out by like. For sure, yeah, I mean, it'll definitely be March.
And then I have another question about the electives. Are all of the information classes available to all the different concentrations for electives?
Yes, so, yeah, so definitely, like, as a library information site, so you can take any info course. So. Any other questions? Right, so, thank you all for attending. We're gonna go ahead and on a brief tour of the facility. And then definitely like if you want to ask stuff one-on-one without all the Zoom and the cameras and all that, we can certainly do that. If you're on Zoom, I can take you with my phone. It's not gonna be beautiful, it'll be a little choppy, but you will get a kind of a sense of the space. So we'll go ahead and switch to my phone. All right, folks. So welcome to Pratt Manhattan Center. So this room you're in here right now, we call this the Archives and Cultural Heritage Lab. And we do a lot of archives projects in this room. So everything we'll do, like our management of archives class here, where we'll do processing of archives, getting them ready for kind of organized. And we'll do, so we see a lot of archive boxes. We do some rare book scanning here. We have like a rare book scanner over there. We do film scanning here. There's like some film scanning equipment all over the place, flatbed scanning, a lot of audiovisual digitization, everything from U-matic to open reel tapes to all kinds of different things. So yeah, we do a lot of client projects with the archives program as well. So like, for example, one project we've been doing for we're going to finish up this spring, I would say, is a radio program digitization project that we're doing with the Lesbian History Archives. So for example, they collect, the Lesbian History Archives collects um, data, or they collect archives around lesbians and lesbian communities. And this is like a public radio program that they had, and we're working with them to digitize it. Of course, we have all the equipment here to do that, but yeah, so we're finishing up this project. It's been maybe a little bit over a year to make it happen. But yeah, lots of we worked with a lot of archives in the area, from big institutions like the New York Times to smaller community archives like the Lesbian History Archives. Yeah, we do lots of archives projects in this room primarily, I would say. So, as you can see from all the posters and stuff. So, all right, so we can go ahead and head on out here. So, yeah, let's see. What do we want? So I would say, a space like this, this is the info lounge. This is kind of a space between classes that we'll use. And I would say like this is kind of the calm before the storm. Like this building will explode with activity next week. But right now it's like pretty dead right now. So there's no one here, which is kind of nice. But yeah, typically at this time it's pretty busy. We're really our 6:30 classes I mentioned is our busiest time. So all these classrooms are going with people. And at 7 o'clock, you're about half hour into those classes. So yeah, it's generally pretty busy, but right now it's quiet. I have not seen a soul. So, but yeah, like just to give you a sense of like what our classrooms look like, maybe we could hit one of the other classrooms. But I would say our class sizes are small. They're typically up to like they're typical students. So, yeah, so this is just like a normal kind of a normal everyday classroom here in the School of Information. Of course, it has $1 million view, but other than that, it's a normal School of Information classroom. And so what you'll see in a classroom like this is like there's like flexible tables, which you could do a little bit of lecturing as the professor, a little bit of group work, some collaboration work. You can do, there's these like creative carts is what we call them. Like if you want to do a little like creative something with like some post-its or a little bit of computer work. So a lot of people have laptops, but we do try to keep a number of computers in the room. But yeah, this is kind of, a typical classroom, that, and as you can see, like this would be considered a large classroom for us. As I mentioned, our average class size is 12 students, and this room can get about 18 people in here. But yeah, that's, it's generally like this would be a big classroom for us. So cool. Feel free to check out the killer view if you'd like. Um, so yeah, I guess we can maybe head this way. So kind of all up and down the hallways here, you're going to see posters. So we do some of these posters, students will present at professional conferences. Others, students will present posters at our annual showcase of student work. Each May, we do something called Info Show where we invite the public in to see student work, and students will do presentations, they'll do posters, and it's just a great way to like bring in get the community together and also bring in employers to get to see student work. So you'll see all kinds of student work all up and down the hallways. It's okay. We don't worry. Don't worry. It's okay. No, feel free. So we have a student using this room in here. This is a space that students can book. And so we're glad that as someone we have a nifty sign here that lets you know. But what's great about this room is we have a massage chair in there, which is great. So if you want to, just book the room for half an hour, do a 20-minute massage. And it's part of our wellness committee bought it because it's like, obviously life is stressful, so, it's kind of, yeah. So the posters, a room like this would be used for like a super IT intensive course, a lot of computer programming where everyone needs a computer. Although we know, of course, at this point, a lot of people have laptops, but like if you don't have one, like no problem. We have like a bajillion computers. We have these lockers, which I know seem kind of high school, but like they're very convenient because you could like just trash all your, leave all your stuff here and go out and enjoy New York. Leave all your stuff here. Um, so one thing I did mention is so everyone gets a full-time faculty advisor, and many of them have offices kind of down in this part of the building. So you can, schedule an appointment to see your full-time faculty advisor. You can talk about career goals and curriculum and all that kind of good stuff. But yeah, a lot of them are kind of down in this area of the building. Yeah, so more full-time faculty down here. This is kind of an interesting poster. We created this in the fall, and this is kind of where students are from this past fall. And you could see, in the School of Information, it's like a real mix of like people from North America and people from kind of all over the world. So a good number of people from China and India, especially in the Information Experience Design program. But then, some Africa, some South America, and then a lot, people from the East Coast, people from the West Coast, people from the middle, like just it's a real mix of different people. Kind of an interesting space. This is our UX lab. Students can book this to bring in test subjects to study user interfaces. So we do eye tracking studies in there, and it's just kind of it's kind of constantly being used by students. On this wall here, we have books by faculty and like articles. As I mentioned, all of our full-time faculty are researchers and scholars. And so you can kind of see like what they're working on and what their kind of research interests are just by looking up here. Um, so this bulletin board over here, as I didn't talk too much about, is that we have student clubs, and Pratt supports our student clubs, and we have here in the School of Information 5 student chapters of national organizations. And so as a student club, you can like bring students together to work on stuff that like maybe you want to do that maybe isn't happening in the class. Um, so for example, the American Library Association Student Club, like they're doing like a social half hour on Wednesday, next Wednesday, right? Like half an hour, just get, people chat, make some friends. But some of these clubs they'll do panels, do events. The semester hasn't really started yet, so there's not a ton of stuff out here. But eventually, like when the semester's up and humming, okay, sorry, I'll fix that later. When the semester's up and humming, this board will be full of stuff going on. But yeah, so we have an emerging museum group. We have American Library Association of Information Science and Technology. This kind of tends to be more of our data analytics group. The Society of American Archivists and the User Experience Professional Association. So we do have the first, geez Louise, we have the first chapter of UXPA in the country was started here at Pratt. So this is kind of an association that brings together UX professionals. So yeah, this is kind of, then of course we have our admin office down here where I work. We do newsletters just to keep people informed about what's going on. We do a monthly jobs newsletter, which is kind of, I think, useful, I would say, just kind of, hey, here's like jobs you should be internships, like things you should be paying attention to. So we send that out every month. But yeah, that's pretty much the 6th floor. So maybe we'll go up and check out the 7th floor. Now, are folks feeling like feeling good to take the stairs? If you have mobility challenges, feel free to take the elevator. But if you're feeling good, we could just take the stairs. All right. Looks like almost everyone made it up here. All right, so this is the 7th floor and of Pratt Manhattan Center. And so one thing I did mention is that so Pratt Manhattan Center, we moved in 2002, but then it was renovated. It was totally got renovated, but then it was renovated again during COVID. And this is one of the spaces that got renovated. And we call this the Pratt Manhattan Student Union because it's just like a space for students to like hang out and get some work done and get some food. There's like, a farmer's fridge and stuff back there. But the building's open till 1 a.m. during the week and 11 p.m. on the weekend. So it's, you could always like come here. Obviously, not too many people are here right now. It's like 4 degrees outside. um, but the heat is good, the air conditioning is good, right? So, but it's here. And the other thing that's interesting about the space is back here, there's like student services offices. So this is kind of like what I would say is like anything other than a professor, they have offices up here. So like health, counseling, financial aid, like they kind of all have offices up here, and they're all the student services, they're not here every day of the week, but they'll have like different days of the week. Like if you want to see someone from like health or counseling, they'll like, oh, we're here on Tuesdays, and you can like just go in and see them. And yeah, so it's like anything other than a professor. There's also a bunch of classrooms up here, you know, there, and like a bunch over there. There's another department up here, but yeah, this is kind of just kind of a nice space to, you know, hang out and get some stuff done. Anyways, I think I have one more space that I should show you, which is the library. And now I'm starting to think, I wonder if they're open. They actually might not be open. But we will check it out. So there is a library here in the building. It's specific to the School of Information and the departments that are here at Pratt Manhattan. And of course, there's a freestanding library in Brooklyn, but they have a lot of services available. The other thing we have here in the building is we have, like, say on the second floor, we have like a large event space and like a large lecture hall. We don't have classes in the lecture hall, but we do have like big events there, like events that bring the whole school together. We'll do parties down there. There's also an art gallery on the first floor that Pratt runs. And so that's very much part of like the culture here, is like there'll be like gallery openings like several times during the year. It looks like they're working on getting a new show up right now, both in the lobby and in the art gallery. So, but then those are open to the public even on the weekend. So, you know, definitely if you're here in the neighborhood, you can feel free to check out the next show that's going up. I'm not even sure exactly what it is, but we just had a show that closed just a few weeks right before, like maybe right before Christmas. But yeah, lots of shows that usually about 4 or 5 different shows that go on here each year. But let's check out if the library's open. I hope it's open. But it is it is before the semester starts. So I think we could probably pile into. I would say, you know what we should do? Half of you take the elevator to 4, the other half, let's take the stairs. 'Cause I think like we might be a few too many to get in one car. So, but yeah, let's meet on the 4th floor. But yeah, but definitely some folks you could take the elevator if you'd like. Um, someone did the. Um, Look at elevators quick. Oh, I hope the library's open. Is it open? Is it open? Is it open? Oh, I missed it. Um, oh, no. Might be. Sorry. All right. All right. So yes, I'm so sorry about that. Yeah. So that is the one downside I didn't think about of doing a information session before the semester starts, is that fortunately the library's not open. However, you can kind of see what it looks like, right? There's library stacks there, and then there's some space, there's some computers, there's a conference room over here that you can book. Feel free to peek in. But yeah, since we're not in the semester, they probably close pretty early today, I would imagine. But yeah, I would say, you know, they do, you know, they check out stuff. You can check out technology, assistive technology, all kinds of different technology. There's new collections, there's new kinds of stuff that you can get. So yeah, it's definitely, I'd say these days a lot of stuff is bought electronically. Lots of information is like e-journals, ebooks, but like if you can't get it as an e-journal or ebook, they buy it in print and you like get it here. And it's useful, I have to say. I mean, I I use their interlibrary loan. I have like all kinds of stuff like coming in all the time that I get from here. So it's a pretty useful service. Anyways, but I think that is kind of, you know, feel free to peek your head in there. Um, oh, and we do. So there is someone there, but she's like looking at me like I'm not gonna. No, that's your reflection. I thought that I saw someone. So your reflection is literally it's going like this, and it's like right behind the desk. So I see someone's like, was like, wait, hold on, anyways, okay, no one is there. But yeah, so, but definitely, I think that this pretty much does conclude our tour of the building. But definitely, I'm happy to stick around if anyone has any questions that, you want to ask or whatever. I'm happy to answer them. And for those of you online, that's pretty much the end of our tour. Good night and have a great night.
Hi, Anthony.
Bye.